Snow White's not the only fairy tale with magic apples. I'm telling you one today where an apple has a girl living inside it, and she survives a murder attempt. It's Italian and called Apple Girl. Like many fairy tales, it starts with a king and queen who want a child and can't have one. And one day the mom is looking at her apple tree, lamenting, "Why can't I produce children like this tree produces apples?" And lo and behold, she gives birth to an apple. Now it's an apple redder and more beautiful than any apple you ever saw. And they're happy about this. The king puts it on a gold tray on his balcony for everyone to see. I'm not sure how these logistics work out politically, but a king lives across the street from this king and queen, and when he looks out and sees the apple on the balcony, he sees a hot girl come out from inside the apple. She's fair and rosy as an apple, and she bathes and combs her hair in the sun. So we're assuming he sees her in her birthday suit. And perhaps that's part of why he immediately falls madly in love with her. So he goes across the street and says, "Hey, I want you guys' apple." He does not tell them a girl lives inside. They have no idea. They don't want to give it away. They're like, "We waited a long time for this apple." But they want to remain good neighbors, and so they give him the apple. So he takes the apple, puts it in his room, and locks the door. And every morning the girl comes out, she bathes herself, she brushes her hair, because he has put out like toiletries for her, bathing supplies and a comb. And then she goes back inside the apple and she never says a word. Now he's got a stepmother who's real suspicious about all this time he's spending in his room, and she keeps trying to find ways to go inside, but he won't let her. Until war happens, not with the other king, we're assuming, but somewhere else, and he has to go away to war. It says it broke his heart to leave his apple, but he gets his most trusted servant, and he's like, "Hey, you need to put toiletries out every day for this girl who comes out of this apple. Make sure she has everything she needs. She tells me everything," which is a lie because she doesn't talk to him. "So I'll know if you mess with her or if anything happens to her. If anything happens to her, I will kill you." So the servant's like, no, I got it. I'll take care of it." So King goes away, but the stepmom immediately drugs the servant by putting laudanum in his wine. And she goes in the room and she's searching around like, what is in here that he's so obsessed with? And all she finds is the apple. And so she's like, "You know what? I'm gonna stab it." It says, "Queens, as you well know, always have a small dagger concealed in their sashes." So she began pricking the apple all over, but every time she stabs the apple, blood starts flowing out, which is so creepy and cool. But that scares the crap out of the queen, so she runs away while the apple just oozes blood. When the servant wakes up and goes in the room and sees blood everywhere, he's like, "Oh God, I'm gonna run away." And so he does. But luckily, he has an aunt who is a fairy and has all kinds of magic powders. She specifically takes the powder that is for apples under spells and another one for bewitched maidens. She blends them together. The servant goes home, sprinkles all the wounds with the powder, and then the girl pops out, but she's all bandaged and has plaster casts on. So she's like all wounded, like if she was in the hospital, like somehow her wounds got treated in there. The king comes home, and for the first time, the girl talks to him, like through her bandages or whatever. I kind of like to picture her with her jaw wired shut and like trying to talk, but no, she talks to him. And she says, "Your stepmother stabbed me all over with her dagger. Also, I am 18 and I was under a spell, and if you like, I will be your bride." And he says, "If I like, indeed I do. It is quite convenient that you would like to marry me and are of age." And that the spell has apparently been broken by the stabbing. That's actually common in fairy tale, that penetration and bleeding often lead to girls growing up and being ready for womanhood. They get married, the wedding is celebrated. They don't say they tell her mom and dad across the street, but I'm assuming they hear. I hope they do. If you're hoping for a gruesome punishment for the stepmother, unfortunately, the story doesn't have one. She just runs away and is never heard from again, which, fine. And the king and the apple girl live happily ever after.